Hey, welcome back. For those that are new to the channel, I'm Ben Fisher, the owner and tattoo artist here at Inkrush. So welcome to lesson 2. Now in previous lesson we covered the theory and practice doing straight line. If you haven't already watched this, then please don't jump or skip lessons. As I've said before, I've put this course together in a very particular way where one lesson will naturally progress on to the next, which means you will learn how to tattoo correctly and in fastest way possible. That being said, the main aim of today's lesson is to keep developing as hand muscles to do a straight line and also learn how to change his hand positioning when tattooing straight lines but in different directions. Now this is a really good little exercise that we're going to be doing, and please really try and put top effort in with this one, as we're going to be using what we tattoo today in later lessons when we're learning how to block in colour and also shade consistent grades and super buttery smooth gradients. But let's not run before we can walk. Believe me, the fun stuff is coming, but it's so important we learn the basics. Many people think that great tattoo artists use special techniques or fancy machines, etc. The truth is that they don't. The reason why some artists are so good is because they don't neglect the basics, but instead learn them so much that the end result is something amazing. And that's the approach I want you to have. Really focus on every lesson and master the basics. Then later on, when we're using these basic techniques to create outstanding designs, you too will have amazing results. So let's get our practice stations set up and ready to tattoo. Okay, so first things first, I want you to grab some paper. I'm going to be using this squared paper, if you can see that. It's just paper that you can purchase with little squares on. Just wait for it to focus. And the reason why I'm doing it on this one today is what we're wanting to do is create little squares. So if we put us carbon paper underneath, and what I'm going to do is we're after 1 centimetre by 1 centimetre squares roughly, which these are exactly that. So what we're going to do is just hit one, miss one. So go across 2 squares, then leave a gap. Across 2 squares, leave a gap. And do that all the way across. And then do the same 2 squares below. And then just join all those up. And you should end up with a row of squares 1 centimetre by 1 centimetre with a small gap in between just to separate them. So on reverse, I don't know if you can see that clear. What we're wanting is exactly that. Just a straight row of squares 1 centimetre by 1 centimetre. With a small gap in between. And then just like in last lesson, we're going to get us practice skin. Put your solution on, whichever one you're using. Like I said, I was taught to just use Dettol. I've tried all other ones. Not necessarily that one's better than any other, but I just always come back to just using this. It's what I'm used to. Now I've just done 1 row, just to demonstrate, but you can do 2 or 3. Or some of you that are really eager might want to do a lot more. But that's what we're after. Don't seem to be focusing in. Just let that focus for a minute. You can see now it is quite faint. Like I say, on an actual person, these lines would be really crisp and really clear. But you can see I've got a straight row. Now you might, on your paper before you put it onto practice skin whilst you're creating stencil, you might want to make a few rows. It depends how much time you're planning on spending doing this exercise. Okay, so I just want to quickly, I'm going to do it quite rough. So we've got a square. Now then, if you remember back to the first video when we were talking about machine angles, and that if we were doing this line from A to B, so if we're going from A to B, the machine wants to be not tilted to one side or the other. It wants to be upright and pointing towards the direction of the line. So in this case we'd be going A to B. Now if I were going from A to C, if I were to just keep my machine at that same angle, you can see it's in an upright position, but it's pointing away from the line. Therefore, the needle is going to hit the line on the surface of the skin in the right place, but it's going in and underneath the skin and could deposit ink slightly away from the line, so it's not going to be depositing the ink in the correct place. So that is fine for A to B, but when we're changing that and going in a different direction, we also need to move as hand positioning. So in this case, if I were going from A to B, that's perfect. A to C, I then need to change my hand. So you can see now it's pointing in that direction. It's not angling that way. It's not angling that way. It's pointing in that direction. So the needle is going to enter and deposit the ink on the course of the line. So we're not going to be depositing ink away from it. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't quite make sense, go back to the first video where I show you on board and demonstrate with little diagrams how the angle of the machine affects where it deposits the ink. So I just wanted to quickly cover that. So A to B, as machine is in line, it's not going to an angle or away at that angle, it's pointing in the direction at line, and we'd do a line from A to B. If we're going from A to C, we can't then just keep that same hand positioning. Now you'll see later on, and if you're watching other YouTube videos where they're tattooing, they just keep their hand in that same place. Later on, we might do that, but at the beginning, you've got to learn that this is the correct way when you're trying to do a perfect line. For instance, if you're doing guitar strings on a guitar, you'd want each line to be perfectly crisp. So you'd use this technique, or so A to B. If we're going from A to C, we can't just twist the paper, because you've got to imagine that this is going to be a person. You can't just manipulate them every time you're doing a line. You'd spend more time moving customer about than you would actually tattooing. So all you do is twist machine, and it is just gripping it totally different. Another one as well, just a quick little tip. I've already covered this in previous video, but you don't want to just be moving your fingers. It's not a pencil, you're not just drawing. What you do need to be doing is move the entire arm, the hand position, and hold should not change. You shouldn't be moving your fingers about. So once we change as position to go from A to C, once I'm in that position, the hand, the fingers, doesn't necessarily move. We put the needle in the skin and then the entire arm moves. And that's going to really improve the stability of your hand. It stays in that same place, tuck in. Don't be having your elbows right out and move the entire arm as one. The positioning, the hand positioning should be the same. The entire arm moves, not just the fingers. So I hope that helps. We're going to set our machine up now, get us practice skin. Make sure you give it time to dry and we'll put it into practice. So same as before, we need these gloves on. The same needling that we used last time. Set as depth, which again, if it's not already on, there will be a video on my YouTube channel explaining all about setting your needle depth, how far you should be having your needle hanging out at the tube, how far it should go into the skin, and a method to make sure that no matter who you're tattooing or where you're tattooing them, that you're always getting correct depth. But as for today's lesson, hopefully you can see these squares. I know they're a little bit faint, so hopefully you can see this. First line, we're wanting to go from A to B, so exactly the same as what we did in previous lesson. Wait for that little dot to appear and then go slightly further. The machine is in line with where I'm wanting to tattoo. It's not twisted over to one side or the other. We wait for that little dot, slightly deeper, in one smooth motion. We go up and we wipe that away. So we've done his line from A to B, same as the little diagram that I showed you on paper. Now we're wanting to go from A to here. So like I've already explained, we can't just keep his machine in this same position because the ink is going to be deposited at an angle underneath the skin. So what we need to do is rotate his hand and do the exact same but going sideways. And then same again, rotate his hand back. Now we're going to go from here to here. And then we're going to go from here to here. And again, it's good practice to practice that motion. So we're going to go from there to there. I know that my hand can do that, it's comfortable. The machine's not tilted right over here, it's not tilted right this way. It's in line with where I'm wanting to go. Wait for that dot and then just a smooth motion across. So that's this first square done. Okay, so I'll just do a couple with you just to show you exactly what we're after. Again, just so it's as clear as possible. So we'll do first line, A to B. Same as in previous lesson. Let's practice that motion. Yep, I know I can do that comfortable. My machine's at the right angle, it's not tilting one way or another, it's in line with where I'm wanting to go, it's pointing in the direction of the line. So we'll just let it enter the skin. Nice smooth line and stop. So this next line I'm wanting to go from A to B or C if we're linking it back to that earlier diagram. So I need to twist my machine from there round to here and do it sideways. So again, we'll practice A to B. Yep, I'm happy with that motion. Let his machine, needle just go in. And then a nice, smooth, consistent speed to the other side. And then we'll go up again. So naturally you can see I'm just twisting my machine round automatically. So we're going from point A to point B. Let's practice that motion, A to B. Yep, I'm happy. My hand can make that in one go. What we don't want to be doing is running out of ink at this stage, so always remember to keep your machine topped up with ink. I'm going to go from A, you can feel that little dot, up to B, and then again I'm going to twist my hand. I'm going to go from there to there. Yep, I've just had a little practice, I'm happy with that. Let's turn his machine off, let's give that a little clean. Let's have a look how that one looks. Lovely, so we've got 2 squares now. I'll do another 2 with you, just for those that prefer following along rather than being left to it yourselves. So again, we're wanting to go from A to B, and if you're watching and you're following along with me, that's great. If you're not, get your practice mat out, get to this stage and just follow along with me, or start video from beginning. So we're going from A to B, let's have a little practice. I'm happy with that motion. Seems a bit repetitive, doesn't it? But this is how you develop an hand movement and get your hand used to going in a particular motion, twisting your hand, tattooing at different ways. If you don't practice it, when it comes to real life and you're doing it on a person, you're going to struggle and feel uncomfortable with something, when that could be avoided by doing drills like this and exercises that's designed to help. So we've practiced his motion, let's slowly go in. Do his line. Now we're going to go from there to there. Let's twist his hand round. A to C. I'm happy with that motion. I've just practiced it. Wait for that little dot to appear, in a bit further. Slow and controlled all the way across. Remember, we're not in a rush. Nice and slow. Not going super slow and then speeding it up, panicking. Just a nice motion. This is practicing. This is when it's time, if at all, to get it wrong. It don't matter. So this one, I've changed my hand position back to go forward. So we're wanting to go from there to there. Let's practice that. Yeah. Wait for that little dot. And out. This time I'm wanting to go from there to there, so I've just practiced that. I'm happy. Let's give that one a little clean. If your squares are not looking like mine, don't worry. They're going to get better and better and better every time that you do it. If you're starting to get stressed, they're absolutely horrible to clean, these things. I've said it in a previous lesson, but if you can tattoo these artificial skins, believe me, when it comes to tattooing a person, you're going to make the whole thing look super easy. So let's top his ink up. This time what I want to do is I'm going to do the motions, but in your head just go over what I've been saying. So I'm wanting to go from there to there. I practice. I wait for that little dot. I know that I'm touching skin now. So all I've got to do is go a tiny bit deeper, and that is going to be the correct depth. Touch skin, nice and slow. And there you go. So I've done 4 with you. Hopefully you've followed along. You're feeling a bit more comfortable now with what to do. Just make sure we're changing that hand about. Get used to your hand being in different positions and going in different directions. Because like I've already said, when you're tattooing a person, you can't just twist all the body around. You've got to just get used to moving in different positions. This is really good exercise just for that. Take your squares all the way across to the other side. Now if any of you're wondering what I'm cleaning my practice skin with, obviously if you were tattooing a real person you'd be using tissue and a green soap or a tattoo soap, whichever one you prefer using. I use green soap, but on these practice skins I wipe them down just with Dettol sheets. I've tried using tissue, I find it just smudges all ink, so if your ink's smudging, again this is all, if it's not already on, it's all on a video that'll be uploaded onto my YouTube channel. But it's far better than just using tissue. You can dry it off with just some normal tissue if you want after. But that's what we're after. So I've just done 1 row. It's just a row of squares, 1 centimetre by 1 centimetre with a small gap in between. Now I've just done 1 row just to demonstrate, but ideally do a full row, take a little break, have a cup of Yorkshire tea, a bun. But there's nothing to stop you doing 3 or 4 rows. This is a really good exercise. Ideally do 4 rows because later on we're going to be coming back, and as I've already said, we're going to be using these squares to learn a completely new skill, which that'll all be explained in another video. But I hope that made sense. And again, if your squares are not looking like this, do not panic. It's 2nd lesson, so don't get stressed. Just enjoy yourself. It's a learning process. Everybody that's watching this is all watching it for the same reason. You want to get better as a tattoo artist, or you want to become a tattoo artist. That's absolutely great. Everybody's got to start somewhere, whether you're a complete beginner or you've already been learning how to tattoo and come across these videos and just want to learn that bit quicker and following along to these lessons. That's absolutely great, but don't expect to be perfect straight away. But believe me, by the time you get to the end of this course, this will be easy. Well done. You've reached the end of lesson 2. How did you find it? Hopefully for those that were struggling at first lesson, you're starting to feel a little bit more comfortable with machining your hand. However, just remember, for the biggest part of you, these past few days is going to be the first time that you've ever even held a tattoo machine in your hand. So please don't expect miracles overnight. Like I keep saying, it will come, so don't panic. We'll be going over and over everything multiple times, and soon everything will just fall into place and naturally you'll become comfortable with every aspect of tattooing. So well done, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget, if you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and hit that bell so you're updated when I upload new content. The aim of this channel is to help people reach the goals when learning how to tattoo. So anything that you can do to help spread the channel and force it to grow, that'd be absolutely great. But until then, I'll see you in the next video.